house. This is great. Recording in progress. So we are going to talk about finding stuff on the internet. And of course, we all do that every day, but AI is changing that. And we're going to talk about how AI is changing that. I always like to introduce myself really quickly. I am a member of the Senior Center Tech Connect, which is here at the Senior Center, where we help folks with their technology and do presentations like this. I was a marketing guy in real life. I do writing, and I also was a programmer for a while. I'm a Mac guy. You all know that, right? I'm a Mac guy. But I will.
You guys come around the front here.
But I will boot Windows if I must, right? If I get coerced into it. So for folks on Zoom, we're still getting settled here. Oh, yes, you are causing so much trouble, but it's okay. And the point I like to make is I'm a member of our generation, but I grew up with computers. And the reason I did is this is the first computer I worked with in 1964. My high school in a little town in Wyoming somehow ended up with an IBM 1620, which was state of the art back then. It had 20 kilocharacters of storage. Let me go back. And if you have an iPhone today, not just necessarily an iPhone 17, your iPhone is about 4,000 times faster than this room full of equipment. And it holds 13.7 million, the entry-level phone holds 13.7 million times more storage than that computer did. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Anyway, and you get it in your pocket, Al said. And I fell in love with programming at the time, which was all punch cards and stuff. And so I really have spent my whole life with computers, which is, most of us did not in this generation, as you know, if you talk to your grandson or, your kids. All right, I always like to qualify this. Let's make sure you're in the right spot, right? You're in the right spot if you often search the internet. Well, that pretty much grabs everybody. You want to know more about how it works, and you want to know how AI can help. And we are going to talk a little bit about the pitfalls and the security aspects of searching the internet, especially with the AI, or if you're just curious, right? So, I'm going to go back one here. All of the graphics that I have in my presentations are AI generated. So, in this particular one, I said I wanted a retro style. I usually label them. I want a retro style Mac with a senior who's surfing the internet happily, and that's what it came up with. Yeah, it's crazy. So this is what we're going to talk about. I always break my presentations up into two chunks. One is the not particularly useful but mildly entertaining section. You don't have to pay any attention to that if you don't want to. But the part you do have to pay attention to is the informative, hopefully useful section, because pop quiz at the end. All right. So Susan's like, I better start taking notes. Right. All right. Hang on a second. This meeting is being recorded. Good. I'm glad that it is. All right. So let's talk about what is a search engine. And they call these things search engines that, go plow around the internet and help you find things. And obviously that's what it is. It used to be a place you went to, a website like google.com or duckduckgo.com, right? And then from there, you could search the internet. With AI, it's more of a service that comes to you. And somebody mentioned Grok. Grok is one of the applications that you can get on your phone or your computer that will help you search the internet, so you don't have to go to a website anymore. So what do people search for? This, of course, I asked ChatGPT to give me this information, and you can see information, news, entertainment, pop culture, and so on, all the way down to technology and gadgets. But the internet search used to look like this, google.com, right? Everybody knows this search. Tell me about the best hybrid cars in 2026. Now, oh, and you got a list of websites. So then you sit down and you go through these websites and you sort of take notes as you're going along and figure out what the answer is to the question that you ask. But now it looks like this. This is the prompt that I give AI. In this particular case, I think it was Claude, which is an application on the Mac and is an AI chatbot. I said, compare the top 5 hybrid SUVs under 40K for a retired couple, prioritize reliability, ease of use, and low maintenance, then recommend one. And it produces this table for you. Yeah, and it does our pick. And our pick is tailored towards me being a retired couple and under 40K. So now you can search in a lot of different ways. And that's one of the important things here is you can ask AI things like Gemini. Is anybody familiar with Gemini? Google Gemini. ChatGPT, you've probably heard of that if you don't use it. Copilot, Meta, and Grok really ought to be on this list. You can use a photo, and we're going to talk about that more here in a minute. You can say, here's a photo, search the internet, and either find things like this, or in the case of my phone, I can say, find things on Amazon that look like this, and it will do that for us. You can speak it, and if we may have a demonstration here when we get done on how to speak with ChatGPT. And then there are actually browsers that are AI. Dia, D-I-A, is not related to the airport, is a browser. Yes. Can I spell Grok? G-R-O-K. Yeah, and that is, come on, Bobski, you can do this. Elon Musk's company that does Grok. Perplexity, Arc Search, these are all applications that you can put on your computer. You can also put Gemini and ChatGPT on your computer. And we're going to talk a lot more about that. So I thought this was fun. This is really talking about search engines. January 1994, I remember it well. I started using Excite for my search engine. And so we're going to go forward in time really fast. So we're flipping through the years. And guess what happened in July of 1998? And for you, oh, you guys can see me on Zoom. I'm pointing at Google, right? And all of a sudden, watch Google.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is by accesses, the number of accesses. And you can see this one, Baodo or whatever, is in China. That's why you've probably never heard of it. Bing is Microsoft, blah, 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 all the way down here. Guess what happened in April 2023? ChatGPT came on the scene. And all of a sudden, boom, in about 18 months, it's ahead of these guys. It's still really, really minor compared to Google. Google search is by far and away the leader here. But that's going to change quickly. And I don't have any numbers after that, but ChatGPT is going to start climbing up in the ranks here. So let's talk about why AI is important in your internet search. First of all, AI is based on a thing called LLM, large language model, and it gets zillions and zillions, terabytes of training. So what they do is they feed it to these neural networks and they say, here's all the information. Like when ChatGPT first came out, they fed it all of the dialogues of all of the movies from the 1950s and 1960s. So they took those dialogues and transcribed them and then chucked it into the AI and said, this is how people talk. So in general, they came up with how people talk. And that's why they can talk to you so fluently, let's say. And we're going to have a lot more examples of that. It's more accurate because it understands, it analyzes and understands what you're searching for. And the best thing of all, and the most important thing of all, is it's conversational. In other words, and we're going to have examples of this, but I can say, okay, give me a flight from here to Montreal, and just say that. And it'll come back and say, well, when? And I'll say, oh, I forgot, April 23rd. And it'll say, do you want nonstop or do you want with connections? And I'll say, oh, I don't care. And it'll go out and look at all of the different options and come back and tell me the flights. I could say, give me the cheapest one, right? Or I want a direct flight no matter what. And it will come back with those responses. The point is that you can chat with it. You can actually sit there and it remembers the conversation. In fact, I have conversations on my computer that were done months, many months ago. And if I come back to them, I can continue the conversation because it remembers the conversation from that long ago. It's crazy. We talked about voice, image, and video searches. We're going to go into that. And it does learn about things that are important to you. Like, well, when we get done, I'll show you. I can ask ChatGPT what it knows about me, right? So what do you know about me? And it'll say, hey, Bobski, I know this, this, and this. So let's look at how, this is the part that's mildly entertaining, but not overly useful, right? How do search engines work? So what they do is they have these things called web crawlers, and they sort of really do crawl around. They go to every single website that they can see, and they look at the website, and they analyze it, they get all the words in it, and they index it. So they build this really big database that's keyed by words, like Apple, for example. If I key in Apple to Google search, it goes out to that really big database, and it finds the word Apple everywhere that it's used, which is a lot of places. In fact, this really big database is 100 petabytes. Ever heard of a petabyte? A petabyte is 100 million gigabytes, right? Or 100,000 terabytes. If you can imagine your little disk drive that's a terabyte, it's 100,000 of those. So it's really huge, and it grows every day. So each entry contains the locations of the web pages that use that respective word. So the example here is Apple. You can see the keyword is Apple, and there's lots and lots here at apple.com/store uses the word Apple. Well, duh. Walmart uses the word Apple because you can buy apples at Walmart, and so on and so forth. As I say here, you get the idea. There's bazillions of entries for the word Apple. So what happens is now, if I sit down with the search engine page or an AI or a search app, I enter a query. It interprets the intent of the query, and it's influenced by our ongoing conversation. And then it goes out to the really big database, and it gets all of the pages that have the words that I'm looking for. It's like how many apples are sold each day, I think is my example here. Now, you used to get a list of websites. Now you get what I call a BOR, a bundle of results, and then magic ensues. And we're going to talk about magic here momentarily. So let's look and see how AI works. Of course, you ask ChatGPT, and it says, well, artificial intelligence refers to simulation, blah, 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 perform tasks, and all that sort of thing. In other words, it makes computers think like humans. That's really what AI does. In the context of what we're talking about today, searching the internet, this whole understanding language and evaluating and summarizing is really the important part of AI in searching for things on the internet. A little note on the side, AI has actually been around for a long time, like the 1950s. But this whole notion of understanding language and recognizing images is really new. This is something in the last 15 years that's come about that couldn't previously be done. But there are AI algorithms that have been around for quite some time. So this is my analogy, and if you've heard my other AI pitches, this is the one I use. So imagine that you walk into this huge, massive library. And by the way, I asked I think it was ChatGPT. Now put the librarian in the center looking at the reader and requesting a question. So this is the vast library, and that's the librarian. And the librarian knows where everything is, understands what you're asking for, and importantly, again, can converse with you to refine what it is you're looking for. It's not just a Google search where you get a list of pages and then you go, well, that's not quite what I was looking for. And you have to go through the pages and, re-enter everything. You can converse with the librarian and she can adjust what she's searching for based on the conversation. The librarian also can recognize handwriting, printed material in any language, and can create images and videos for us. And we're going to talk about all of that here in a second. Kind of new is this whole notion of having an AI as an agent for you. In other words, you give the AI a task. Rather than asking it a question, you give it a task and it goes out and does whatever it has to do to complete that task. And I've got a great example of that here in just a little bit. And that's kind of what we talk about. The AI can compare different hybrids, for example, and based on the query, come back with a response. So, and it also can do research for you, and we're going to talk about that also. So, to kind of sum up the AI and the internet, it uses these LLMs, large language models, to interpret what you want and what you're trying to get at, right? It gives you, depending on how you ask for the response, it can either be concise or really wordy, but most of the time it's concise answers. Oh, and with citations. So one of the great things, and I think I have some examples of this, is if you go off and give AI a search and you say, hey, I want to find, for example, all of these hybrid automobiles, you can ask it to give you the relevant web pages that it used to deduce the answers that it came up with. So it can cite the web pages. And that's a good thing because every once in a while, AI, we'll talk about this, AI will make stuff up, right? If you get AI in a corner, this is my analogy. So you're at a used car lot and you're talking to the salesman and he's really, he's got a dapper suit on and he's really a sharp-tongued devil. And you ask him a question like, what's the cubic inches of the engine? And he gives a little momentarily blank stare because he doesn't know, and he makes something up right on the spot. AI will do that for you too sometimes. So it's a good idea to look at these citations. I also, in my searches, I don't have that in here, but I will sometimes say, tell me how confident you are in the answer that you just gave me. And it'll come back and say, oh, I'm mediumly confident about this. Or it'll come back and say, this is strong confidence, and it will cite the reason that it's strongly confident about it. So let's talk about the combination here, AI and search engines. Oh, my things are out of order here. So chatbots are the applications that you use to interface today with AI. And they really do chat. They're apps or web pages, and they're designed to simulate human conversations. And it uses those LLMs for the chat experience. Let's see. So how can they help your search? First of all, because they're trained in trillions of conversations and all of these language constructs, they can really understand the query that you're asking them pretty well. I mean, better than just typing something into a Google search. It tries to deduce what you're asking. And then if it doesn't understand it, will ask you. It says, I'm not clear on what you're asking. So it improves the basis of the search, the beginning of the search, right off the bat. And then, because it's based on a conversation, it's looking at your conversation history. It may be looking at things it knows about you. It will return results that are more relevant than just an internet search that you might get from Google. And you can ask it to summarize, let's say you ask it about the tax code for a particular, some kind of tax situation. You can have it summarize it in 20 words or less. And you can say, and tell me like I'm a sophomore in high school, and it will dumb it down for you, which that's the part I like. It gives you. And then it presents it in text that you're really used to, or voice if you're talking with it. So let's go back to our little how does it work thing. So this was all, and the thing we want to talk about now is the AI magic. So I said something like, how many apples are sold each day? the search engine goes out, finds all the words apples and sold, and puts them together, puts it down in the results. In the old days, we'd get this list of URLs or links, but the AI takes all of that information and does this AI magic. It's called retrieval augmented generation. These computer cone heads come up with these acronyms that are perplexing, and they like to use the word generation, but anyway, it's based on the results that you got back. So it takes that bundle of results and it extracts the relevant passages, it looks at the sources, it tweaks the results based on the ongoing conversation, and then it produces a natural language answer. And I think this is where, no, I'll have an example here in a second of just exactly that, of looking up how many apples are sold each day. So these are some AI search chatbots that I still don't have Grok in there, do I? I will fix that. I'm not sure why I didn't put that in here, but and these are in your handout, and I urge you to give them a try, any or all of these. In fact, while we're here, all of these have a free tier of use. So you can sit down and go to chatgpt.com and it'll say, what can I do for you today? It'll probably, after one or two questions, it will say, hey, you need to create an account. But that doesn't mean you have to pay them. It just means that they want to send you emails, right? All of those are the same way. So you can sit down and play with all of these for free and bounce across all of them. Now, because they're free and because AI takes so much computing power, they have to pay for it. They won't let you use it very long for free, okay? What they generally do is give you a few queries each day or some number of queries in a week, and then they'll say, hey, your limit is up for the week, and you'll have to wait and start over. What I do when that happens is I just go on to the next chatbot and start using it for a while. So if you do that, you can get a fair amount of use out of these chatbots for free. Now, I do have a subscription to ChatGPT, and it's because I use it so much that it's worth it to me for $20 a month to have basically unlimited use of it. But you really don't need a subscription. All right, so the next generation, and we're really not going to talk about this too much, but they're what they call agentic. They're AI browsers that act as agents for you. And it actually goes out and accomplishes a task. You give it a task, and it will go out and do it. And some of these tasks can take a long time. I've got one, I think I have an example in here, that took 20 minutes for ChatGPT to create a project plan for me. So it goes off and it looked at 100 and some websites to do that. It gathered the information, it brought back and created a report for me. And it has all the citations and everything in it. It's amazing what it'll do. And it does plan the steps to solve the problem that you're talking about. Do I have an example? Oh, I say stay tuned for these apps to change. This is brand new. I mean, in the last 6 months almost, these agentic AI browsers. Oh, I'll take this opportunity to throw in another. Today we work with chatbots. We sit down and I type with them or talk with them. But it's not going to be very long before these things are built into everything we do, everything. AI, I used to give a presentation in 2023 that said, is AI hype or is it real? Well, today that presentation is, yes, AI is real and it's here to stay. And it's going to change our lives. It really is. It's going to be like the invention of electricity or the internet. It's a big deal. The good news, I think, is, well, is anybody here actually actively working where they might be replaced by AI? If we're retired, we're like, yeah, we got it made, we don't care. But there's a lot of people out there that are worried about AI taking their job, and they should be. AI can definitely take the place of a lot of different things. So, pardon? Yes.
Two. One more people.
Correct. So the comment was Elon Musk said, in a decade or two, no one will be working. And I don't know if I totally agree on that because somebody's got to run all this AI stuff and all that. And I don't know if I have it in here, but the saying is you won't be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by someone that uses AI. And that's a fact because I do a lot of writing and I use AI in my writing now all the time. And if I didn't, my competitors would, who are using AI, would be able to produce stuff, writing as faster than I could. Yes. Yeah, so the comment is Musk saying that robots will replace construction workers? To start with, it'll be things that AI can replace today. AI could almost produce a feature-length film today, completely generated, so you don't need actors, right? Now imagine with that kind of artificial intelligence put inside a robot that can function autonomously. Yes, it could build your house for you, and it could repair your car for you. So I don't know what that economy looks like if no one's working, and I don't think I want to know. But that to me is scary. Did that answer your question? Yeah, exactly. Uh-huh.
What a student has to do, making the skills they develop, the
Right.
that's going away, and what is that going to leave us with? That person that has no ability
So-
other than pushing the AI button?
Yeah, so the comment was a retired teacher, right? And students used to have to learn, and they used to have to write papers, and they used to have to reason, right? I can tell you for a fact, I don't think anymore on my own. AI does it all for me. So the question is, what happens? And our society is going to have to learn to adapt to having these machines that do a lot of the thinking for us. What is that going to look like? I can't answer that, but it sounds scary to me. Yeah, what is it? Well, it atrophies your brain. So it's a fact. There's an easy solution to that: get a cat or a dog. Can't argue with that. Yeah. Okay. Susan, did you? Yeah, brain changes in humans.
That in
Oh, definitely. So the comment was we're already seeing that in kids. I have really firsthand knowledge of this because we have these drop-ins where anybody's welcome, by the way, bring your phone in and say, how do I make the font size bigger? Well, I used to have to memorize where to go to make the font. Now I ask ChatGPT and it tells me, oh, you go to the, this menu and that menu and you click on that. So I don't have to think about it anymore. In fact, you don't have to come to the drop-in, just ask ChatGPT how to make the font bigger in your phone, right? We can discuss all this as we go along here because I want to wrap that part up. So this is an example of ChatGPT, how many apples are sold each day. And I typed this in. This is one of my very first examples that I had in mid 2023 because it was amazing to me. Now it's just rote. I mean, it's what it does, but I still think it's cool. Globally, around 8 million tons of apples, blah, blah, blah. It says at the end, it says, would you like a more specific estimate in a certain region or whatever? So I came back and said, when I say apple, I mean capital A apple. And it says, got it, Bobski. You meant Apple, the tech company. And then it goes on to tell me how many apples are sold each day. But that's an example of the conversation that you're having with it. Plus, ChatGPT knows that I'm a technology enthusiast, so that swayed or kind of, it was bent in that direction because it knows I'm a technology enthusiast. Okay, this one, I'm also a member of the Longmont Genealogical Society. So I do a lot of AI. How does AI help you with genealogy presentations? And this is an amazing one. My grandmother was born in 1898, and I know where she is up until 1912. She was adopted at the age of 3. I got her adoption papers from the state. She was born in Pueblo. Family lore, she was a traveling vaudeville show. This is third hand from my sister, who got it from my aunt, who got it from my grandmother, way back when. So I don't know where she is from 1912 to 1920. So I said, provide me with a research plan with resources to shed some light on that. And ChatGPT went off, and darn it, I meant to print this out. 20 minutes of research, 38 citations, 376 websites were searched for this project. It generated a 4,000 word research plan, which is about 15 pages. And it starts off with, this research problem is solvable, even without a confirmed legal name, because traveling vaudeville, broadly understood in family lore, generated repeated dated traces in newspaper, theater, advertising, and circuit/booking ecosystems. So it generated this entire research plan for me to go try to discover where my grandmother was from 1912 to 1920. And it has all of the citations. It also has all the websites that I should go look at. Some of them are paid websites. Now, an AI can't get inside of a paywall. So it can't go to, for example, to Ancestry or MyHeritage, but it can look at other websites. And I thought this was amazing. I've done another one on my second great grandfather, a very similar research plan. I should just type in, why don't you just go find it for me and see what it does, There we go. So 20 minutes, 38 citations, 376 searches. So let's look at, yes. The question is, would you be able to do something that elaborate if you just had the free version? Probably not. Yeah, they call this deep research, and almost all of the Grok does as well, has this deep research capability, but I think most of them require a paid subscription to do it. Because you can imagine 20 minutes of, the lights dimmed somewhere when that thing went off trying to do the research, right? So let's talk about images here for a second. And this is my just departed Indy. She was the sweetest dog ever. But what I did is I took this photograph of her and I put it into Google Lens or Google reverse image search. Has anyone ever used that? Yeah, it's available to anyone. If you go to google.com and you get up the little search bar, I don't know if I have it in here. Over on the right, it's a little picture of a camera, and it will allow you to search by image. So I said, show me all the images related to Indy here. And this was the top response. And I noticed there was a couple here that said Chihuahua. Indy was a rescue, but the woman we got her from said she's 100% miniature American Shepherd, which basically is an Aussie that's really tiny, right? And I said, what is this? Until I did her DNA. And guess what? She's 45% Chihuahua. So it went out and found these pages based on what Indy looks like. And they discovered some Chihuahua photos that were like Indy. So that is Google reverse image search. Do I have a? No, I don't have it. Anyway, when you go to google.com, over on the right of the search bar is a little lens, and you can find things. I can show you when we get done here. Are we going to take a break, by the way? Okay, what, about quarter till? So about 10 minutes. Everybody okay with that? We'll take a break. Okay, if you have an iPhone, actually, this example is an iPhone because I have one, but this same thing works on an Android using Google Lens. And what it is this photograph of one of my other Aussies, this is Miko. If you look down here, and if you look at an image on your phone, if the AI can determine something about that image, which it can for most things, this little star appears in the circle of the info. And when you tap on it, do I have that? Nope. when you tap on it, it'll say, oh, look up Australian Shepherd. And if you tap on that, it will give you a bunch of web pages that are relevant to Australian Shepherd. So the AI recognized that this was an Australian Shepherd. And it works for about anything. I've got, for example, I've got a picture of Times Square on my phone, and I can tap on it and it says, oh, that's a landmark. And if you tap on that, it says, here's some more photos of Times Square, you know? So it knows what Times Square looks like. It's crazy. Creating images. This was done in 2023. And I said to Copilot Designer, I said, how many apples are sold each day? And I said, create an image for me. So it created this image. And you can see this woman's got like 2 fingers and not really an eye. And this guy, you can't tell. So in 2023, it was pretty bad at generating images. That's changed today. And you may have seen it if you get any scam emails or if you read Facebook, all of these images are just real as they can be, and they're generated. It's scary. It's definitely scary. This is interesting. So there's a site called Sora.chatgpt.com. See, this is completely generated. This woman that's talking is completely video generated. And you can go to Sora, although it's a little note, last minute update. I mean, last minute, yesterday afternoon. OpenAI said they're not going to have Sora anymore. And one of the reasons they gave it was these images are too real and people are using them in not so nice ways. So they said they didn't want to be a part of that, which is kind of interesting. I talked about chatbots are moving into the browser app itself. The browser, by the way, is an application like, who uses Chrome? Everybody use Chrome on your computer? Yeah, or Edge or Safari for us Mac folks, right? That's a browser. The browser now is becoming the AI, so it's all integrated into one thing. And it can read multiple pages at the same time. It knows what's on your screen because it knows what's in its own windows. And I think I have an example of it here where you can say, explain this to me, and what you're talking about is something that you're looking at on the screen. It's pretty crazy. I don't know how far along we are. We might be done by 2. Still want to take a break? Yeah, okay. So the browser itself is the thing that helps you do the research and kind of organize the information. Let me see if I've got an example. I thought I had an example. Yeah, so these are the ones that I've played with, Dia, ArcSearch, Perplexity. And what you can do is if you go to, I think it's called dia-browser.com, you can actually download the app and use it on your computer. I remember when DuckDuckGo came out and they supported DuckDuckGo as a browser. And you're like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. The search engine is built into the browser. So yeah, I can search and at the same time that I'm just using it as a browser. And now you've got AI as well. And if you've gone to Google and done a Google search recently, at the top is some AI generated stuff. So they're starting to build that into the search engine as well. Yeah. Oh, okay, this is the example. So this is using Dia. And what I did is I'm on Ancestry.com. I'm looking at, I can't remember the census. I think, 1900 census. And Ancestry will highlight for you what you're searching for. And so I had this page up, and you click on a little thing in the browser, and I said, tell me about the household highlighted in this census record. Now, if you've used Ancestry or you've done Ancestry research, you know you can sit there and look at these things all day long and go to census records and all this sort of thing. And they're sitting there right in front of you, or you can download them, but that's you know, you have to sit there and study it and figure it out. Well, now it figured it out for me. It just said, hey, the highlighted household in the census record is the Gessel family, blah, blah, blah. The head of the household is John. And so it tells me all about those entries in the census. Yeah, it is amazing. Let's take a quick break. Oh, yes, sorry.
You have, say, a screenshot of
Mm-hmm.
it,
So the question is, how do you get, let's say, a file or a photograph to ChatGPT? I can demo that when we're done. It's pretty easy. When you fire up ChatGPT, a window opens up that you can type into. Right next to that window is a little plus sign. And if you click on the plus sign, it will ask you for a file or a photo. You can use your camera, and it will upload the document, which brings me to a point that I'll emphasize again later on. Anything you provide to these chat bots becomes their training for the future people that are asking questions. So in genealogy, I always say, your fourth great grandfather might have been a bank robber. That's okay. But if your wife is a bank robber, you don't want to type that in, okay? Because they do retain all of the information that you put in. Now you can say, I don't want this to be used as training, but they'll still keep the information. They just won't use it for training. So time out, real quick break, maybe 10 minutes, 8 minutes. How's that sound? And I'll figure out what else I got to say here. I can't remember the presentation. Oh, thanks, Susan.
the inevitable day.
Who is it's the companies. So the question is, who is the they that keeps your information? In the case of ChatGPT, it's a company called OpenAI. In the case of Copilot, it's Microsoft. In the case of Gemini, it's Google. And ask chatbots. We can ask chatbots all kinds of questions. I think someone had the question about kind of what is a chatbot versus, let's say, a browser. And they're both applications that you can have on your computer. And one of the things that we talked about is they're now merging to be one program. So if I go to open up, let's say Google, if I open up, what is it, Chrome. If I open up Chrome, you're doing just fine. Chrome will ask Google to search the internet, and Google can return some AI stuff. So it's all merging into one. Today, you can actually have a browser, which is like Chrome, and you can have a chatbot, which is like a Gemini. Both of those can be on your computer. But it's not going to be long before they're one thing. So if you use Chrome on your computer, or Safari on a Mac, or Edge on Windows, that's a browser. ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, those are all chatbots, and those are also applications on your computer that you would run separately. But they're going to all be part of one here pretty soon. And Miss Sarah's been keeping track of things we're going to demo when we get done here. So the good news is we're going to have plenty of time to play around with this. All right, what were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about the Dia browser, which is one of those things that I was talking about. That is now merged. Dia browser is a search engine and an AI and a browser. It's all in one. It's an application that does all of that. All right, so a few words. I give lots of presentations, and I always want to put something in there about scammers because I hate scammers. All right, they're diabolical. They're the devil. So we're going to talk about searching and security. Back in the old days, if you went to Google and you said, help with Epson printer, for example, you would get a list of websites that purport to help you with your Epson printer. Well, what you don't see is that scammers pay to have their name float to the top. So Epson.com support is, if you look at it, it's www.justanswer.com or askanexpertonline.com. Those float to the top, and they are almost all scammers, right? And if you call that number, they will say, oh, sure, we'll help you with a printer. Let me run this program and let me get on your computer, and I can help you with your printer right after I drain your bank account, right? So if you're not careful, you'll be calling the wrong help. So you can see here, that's not Epson, that's not Epson, that's not Epson. And you can see that it has the word sponsored on them. That means that those people paid to be this high on the list, and they're scammers. They paid Google to appear in the list, hoping they would catch somebody that goes, oh, look, this guy says he can fix my Epson printer. I will call him. And at the bottom, yes, it's Epson. And I know this because I can look at the URL and it goes to epson.com/support. So if you do search for help, well, I think I'd talk about it here. The best thing to do is, first of all, look past the ads, the sponsored thing. Look at the Uniform Resource Locator, the URL. You can see here, this says support.hp.com. I know that that's HP, kind of. Sometimes they actually, that's a long story. It's probably preferable today to use an AI chatbot. So go to ChatGPT and say, I need help with my Epson printer. And ChatGPT will say, what seems to be the problem? And you can say, well, it's not feeding paper properly. And it'll say, did you pull a little thingy out in the back to look inside to see if there's paper there? And you can go through the diagnostics. At the very end of that, it may give you the Epson or HP support website, but it's not going to try to scam you, is the point here. The other alternative is go directly to the vendor's website. In other words, type in epson.com, and then up there you'll see support, type on support, and generally it'll ask you for the model number. And you have bypassed all of these fake sites to try to get your help. Or just use AI. So I think I said, please find Epson printer support for me. And I did that with Claude, which is an AI chatbot. And it says, here's how to reach Epson support. Online support, best starting point, phone support, email, tip. Oh, by the way, I said, please, somebody asked about Terminator, right? This one? That one? You know, what happens when these AIs take over the world? It's kind of a joke, but we say, if you use please, the AIs of the future are going to remember that you were polite, and you'll be one of the last to go. Okay. Yeah. So say please and thank you. It's not human, but darn, it seems like it's human. Okay, so things we didn't cover. All of these, yep, have a question. Oh, the question's about a VPN. That's totally separate from AI. A VPN is how you get to the websites, and come talk to us. I generally don't recommend a VPN. It's an added layer that's not useful. So, but it depends. If you work for the State Department, you might want to use a VPN, you know, but in general, you don't need one. Today's, well, we're getting off the subject, but generally you don't need one. Most of these have, let's call it a kind of a higher level of organization. ChatGPT and Claude have a thing they call project. Google has a thing, it's actually Notebook LM, I think, not LLM. And these are, I think you have to have a paid account to use them, and they're really cool. Because what they do is you say, I want to start a project. Right? I have a project on finding my second great grandfather, who's a brick wall for me. And you upload documents to it, and you have multiple chats with it, and it uses all that information at once. So it's like encasing all of this information into a project. And it's kind of the next level of research if you're using a project. So you can play with those, I think. I don't know, you have to try if you don't have a paid account. Oh, and any data you enter gets stored on the chatbot vendor's servers. So I've researched this pretty heavily because there's always privacy concerns. They always save your chats. Whether you tell them it's private or not, they still save it for at least 30 days. They can give up a chat to law enforcement if they're subpoenaed to do that. They're required to give it up. Unless you tell them otherwise, they will also use your chats for training. One of the things that all these chatbots has is at the end of a conversation, there's a little thumbs up and a thumbs down. And if you click on, say, thumbs up, it says, oh, okay, the response I gave was approved by the person that's doing this, so I must be on the right track. And it will lean things in that direction in the future for those kinds of conversation. So unless you tell them otherwise, it will be used for training. Yes.
Can you give it?
So the question is, on a project, if you have an account on Ancestry, can you give it permission? I don't know. I think not, because the chat bots go to great lengths to tell you they can't get behind paywalls. But a project might change that. We can fiddle with that. That's a really good question. Oh, and how to get started. So this is on the back, I think on the last page. These are the websites that you can go to: ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Claude.ai. You can ask a few questions and then it will ask you to register and you give it your email. If you start answering more and more questions, it'll probably start asking you for your credit card. So yeah. Did you have a? Mm-hmm.
Service, the AI service you're using, keep that, right?
Yeah, so the question was, DuckDuckGo touts their privacy, and yet they have an AI response. Are they using that for training, right? And I'm quite sure the answer is yes, because they're not using their own AI. They're using, I think they use OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, right? They have what they call APIs, application programming interfaces, where they call up OpenAI and say, hey, this is the request I just got. Now they might anonymize it. They might say, DuckDuckGo might say, I'm not going to give you the user that asked this, but here's the query, and it does get saved as training. I'm quite sure that it does, but we can ask ChatGPT and see what it says. Yeah. Yes. Hang on just a second. Pardon? Yeah. I don't, but we'll look it up. Remind me that when we're looking at stuff. The question was, is it grok.com? And I actually don't know the answer to that. I haven't used Grok. I've used it a couple of times just to see what the query is, but I don't use it regularly. I'm not trying to think how I've used it. I can't remember. Yeah. Yes.
Could you show us when you're showing things how to upload?
Yes. Yep, we're going to do that. So the comment is, can you show us how to upload images? We're going to do that.
Because it's scribble.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just chat GPT to me? Is it because
The question is, I get Grok to talk to me, but I can't get ChatGPT to talk to me. I can get ChatGPT to talk to me, kind of. It will transcribe your voice. Well, I can show you here in a second. I especially can do it on my phone. So let's see. Hey, Chat, I'm working with a bunch of folks here that want to learn more about you. What should I tell them?
Well, you can tell them that I'm basically a conversational AI that's here to help with almost anything they throw at me, from answering questions, brainstorming ideas, digging into certain topics, or just having a nice chat. I don't have personal feelings or memories beyond what you shared today, but I'm here to be useful and keep things accurate. just let them know I'm like a super curious, always on standby teammate.
Cool. I muted it. So
If
what's
they have
that?
any questions or curiosity about how I can help them specifically, feel free to ask. I'm always up for a conversation, whether it's serious or just for fun.
How much do you know about me?
I only know what you've shared. In this case, you've told me you're a genealogist who understands DNA, you know computers well, and you've got a solid grasp of AI. I don't know anything private or personal beyond that. Basically, I work with what you're comfortable sharing, and if you need me to remember or forget something in the conversation, you just let me know.
Okay, I turn it on. Let me show you. Let's see if I can do this. You're asking me to do cool stuff here, and I'm not sure I can do it. Come on. Okay, so you can see here down at the bottom, there's a little microphone. Can Zoom see this? Really? Wow, I'm more brilliant than I thought. Oh, okay. All right. Time out for a second. Oh shoot, this is gonna take a bit. Stop mirroring. Let's go to Zoom. Oh, hi everybody on. All right. Now let's go back to sharing here. So you can see that this conversation we just had is really more just transcription. It's taking my voice and transcribing it into text and then feeding it to ChatGPT. And that's the same way I can use ChatGPT and voice on my computer, is it transcribes it. It's not like a human sitting there listening to you. It's based off the text that it gets, and that text is from a transcription of your voice to text. Does that make sense? Hey, chat, how is it that I can, oops, did I do that? Hey, chat, and I don't have to say, hey, chat, but I do. I'm trying to be polite. How is it you can talk to me?
I talk to you speech recognition. You say, and I generate responses which get turned back into speech. So it's basically a back and forth loop of listening, understanding, and speaking. It feels like talking, but under the hood, it's a lot of tech making the magic happen.
Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. If anything else comes up, or you just feel like chatting, I'm here.
Okay. Now you had a question. I'm sorry. So the question is, ChatGPT said, if you want me to forget something, just let me know. Is that the equivalent to erasing something? And no, it's not. As a matter of fact, that conversation is also being stored. All right. Now, when it says to remember something, I have told it to remember that I'm a DNA enthusiast and a genealogist, and it's remembered that. Now I could go in and say, forget that I'm a DNA person, and it would forget that. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, cool. So the question is, do you have to download an app on your phone or your computer? No, you don't have to. In fact, on the sheet there it says go to chatgpt.com. That is a website. You're working with a website through a browser. So you're using Edge or Chrome or something, and you're going to chatgpt.com. I prefer to download the app, and that's another possibility. is you can download the app and interact with it. I have it on my phone. It's the ChatGPT app on my phone. But I could just as easily go to Safari and go to chatgpt.com. Mm-hmm. Right away. Yeah. Well, have you used it before? Huh. So the comment was you went to chatgpt.com and it asks you to sign in. They want to get your email address, right? If you have a Mac, you can use a fake email address, but that's a different story. Yeah, you should sign in. It's free. Yes. So the question is, what's the benefit of using an app versus a browser? That's a really good question. It's sort of like a lot of people read their email using Chrome, for example. Chrome is made as a window out into the internet, and it understands web pages. One of those web pages happens to be Google Mail, right? Now this is a personal quirk. I always think the browser was made for internet, working with the internet. The mail app on your device was made to read your mail. And in general, I think it's better at it than using the web page. But I'm probably wrong. They're probably just equally as useful. So I can't really answer the question. I prefer to use the app on my device. The question is it faster? That would depend on your internet connection. If you've got a Nextlight internet connection in your house, you're not going to notice the difference. Yeah. Was there another question over here? Yeah, Sunny. That is an excellent question. So the question was, if you ask them not to use it for training, do you have to do it every time? And the answer is no. There are some settings in ChatGPT and Claude, I know for sure, and Gemini. There's a little settings menu, and you can go in there and you can say, turn off using my conversations for training. And all of your conversations from then on will not be used for training. They still save them, but they're not used for training. Okay. So I can show you that if you want to see it. It's just a setting.
Would they ever delete them?
Theoretically, they delete them after 30 days. The question was, do they ever delete those? And when I was doing the research, they said, we will keep this, no matter what it is, we will keep it for 30 days. Now, they didn't say they wouldn't keep it forever. They just said we might only keep it 30 days. Yeah, so they might also keep it forever. Right. What else were we going to talk about? Oh, ChatGPT with a photo. Sure. Let's go back to my computer here. And let's actually go to, so this is the ChatGPT app on my computer. Actually, if I go to, so I'm going to use Safari, which is a browser, right? And I'm going to go to chatgpt.com. And you can see here, limited personalization, right? It doesn't know who I am right now, I don't think. Start a group chat. Where is login? Latest thinking, auto switch to thinking. Oh, well, so this is one thing I can click on and it will give a temporary chat. Is it will not use this chat for training, but that's only temporary. I'm trying to figure out where, oops, I didn't want to do that. I don't use the browser one often enough. Turn off temporary chat. Well, while we're here, and I'm trying to figure this out, let's see what this is. If I want to search for a photo, so let's say, let me go into my photos here and here's one of my pups, right? This is Bluey. You can see Bluey's name is there. So my AI on my Mac's photo app knows who Bluey is, and it will label all the photos in my photo album with Bluey. But I'm going to go to ChatGPT and click on this little plus sign here. And see, you can say upload file, upload photo, take a screenshot, or take a photo. It will actually allow me. And the one on my phone, when I hit the plus sign, I can actually use the camera on my phone. So I can just go, oh, here's a picture of Elmer. And of course, ChatGPT would reject it because it's Elmer, but it would try to look Elmer up. So I'm just going to say, okay, I'm going to upload a photo. What kind of dog is this? Right, so you can see. And you can see over here, these are all of my conversations that I have. I've got lots of them. It looks like a blue Merle Australian Shepherd, likely a miniature American Shepherd. That is technically correct. Pure Aussie purists don't like us calling them Aussies because they're not. They're miniature American Shepherds, okay? Key features are, if this dog is on the smaller side, is almost certainly a miniature American. Either way, classic herding breed traits, intelligent, alert, and usually very active. So, can you tell what the dog's name is? That'll be hard. Ah, yes, the label clearly shows the name is Bluey. Okay. Was there anything else we wanted to do while we were here? Oh, generate, yeah, okay. Create an image for me of a group of seniors listening to a pitch on AI. They're mostly happy with a few grumpy people like Elmer. Now, the way these AIs, while it's doing this, the way these AIs generate images is really weird. It's called competitive. I think it's competitive generative generation. And what they do is they start out with a screen of just noise, just random colors. And they feed it to another AI and said, does this look like a dog? And the other AI says, no, it's not even close. Sends it back. And then it sends back some stuff about how to change it. And then it keeps going back and forth. Well, as you can imagine, that takes all kinds of compute power. What's this look like? There's, you got to see this. You got to see this.
Really on? Oh, wow.
See Elmer?
Yeah, I see Elmer.
Does he have a name tag on? So anyway, you can see this is pretty lifelike, right? So. Actually, I went back to the app because I'm not smart enough to use the browser. Yes, but this, if you hold your tongue just right, everything in the browser should be the same. Okay, we could fiddle with it afterwards. I'm sure we could figure it out. Yes. Oh, so the question is, how do you save that? Actually, if I roll over it, usually, let's see what this does. I can, on this particular one, I can right click it and you can see, I can copy it, which means I can paste it somewhere else. I can save it onto my file. I can add it to my photos. It wants to know if that's a good response or bad response. I'll say that's a good response. And it says, thank you for your feedback. See these little thumbs up and thumbs down kind of things. Anyway, you can create images of just about anything. Now there are, if I go to, let's go to Sora.chatgpt, and if I look, these are all videos that have been created by people that are using this application. What's going on? It's not playing them. Let's see where mine are. So I have a presentation that I give on backup for your computer. And one of the things I wanted to put in that presentation was a picture of a disk drive. I don't know why. You know what? They may have shut this down because they turned it off. Anyway, this spinning disk drive blows up. This one is, oh, it's too bad it won't show it. Let's see. Open, let's see if I download it, what it does. Oh, okay. I can probably open it in. It created this, and I didn't even ask it to do this. It's when I first logged in. So
I'm in the booth, watch the meters tick. I'm older, but the flow's got a youthful kick. Sora on the screen, turning ideas to flick. Feed it a prompt.
that it created that. So it had my it did have my photograph. So you can see. Let's go back to what's another one? I'll show you the disk drive one. Can I download it? Yeah. So if you come listen to my, I don't know when I'm going to have this. It's pretty soon, I think, backing up your PC. I said, I don't want this to happen to you. Right, so it created that for me. Yeah. Back to ChatGPT. What else did we want to talk about? Oh, probably that might be. Well, let's just ask ChatGPT. So, if I create a ChatGPT project, can I give it permission to enter a paywall like Ancestry.com? Come on, Bobski, you can do this. Okay. Now, ChatGPT does not have the ability to use your browser session or stored cookies, so it can't inherit your login access, which is probably the thing that limits it. Now, if you use a browser like Dia browser, we were talking about, it can analyze. You can have multiple tabs open, and you can say, look at all of these tabs and summarize the information on the tabs. Let's say I was trying to take a trip somewhere. It would, I could open separate tabs for different places that I wanted to visit or something. And it would figure, I could say, show me the optimal route walking, say I'm walking in London and I want to see all these things. And it would tell me what the optimal route was and what time they're open and that sort of thing. Oops. Come on. Oh, I don't have Zoom. There we go. Oops. Well, how did that get open? Now I don't know where I am. There we go. Oh, it opened it. Interesting. So I could go to Ancestry here, Ancestry.com. and I could open up a photo. Yeah, but I don't. And there's a way to say, hey, I want to look at I want to examine this. I don't remember how to do it though. Anyway, fiddle with it. I can't remember how to do it. Let's go back to ChatGPT. What else are we talking about? Anyway, when you're using ChatGPT, that plus sign there is, and if I go on my phone, I open ChatGPT, you can see over here is the plus sign. And it says, what do you want to do here? And you can see one of the options is use the camera. I could take a picture of Elmer, but it might break my phone. But you can see the different options, deep research, which is what we were talking about. I think you have to have a subscription to use deep research. In fact, we ought to ask ChatGPT that. Do I need a subscription to use deep research in ChatGPT? Okay, you see it went out to the web. Oh, it didn't respond. Oh, I didn't. How can I read that to me?
Short answer, no. It depends on how much you want to use it. Here's the current situation in terms. You can use deep research only in a very limited way. Like research. Pay plan, etc. Deep research is included with a larger monthly allowance of full quality runs. Pro plan, highest tier.
Okay, we don't need to get all that. ChatGPT tends to be pretty verbose. It's just the way it is. Right. The question is, if you get started on a project, can you shut it down? I would leave it open and just leave it running. But you can go on and do other things. I've done that in the background. It will. Now we got to be careful about the terms we're using here. A project is a special thing, as opposed to just a deep research query. A deep research query doesn't have to be a project. If you look here, I don't know if you can see this. These are all the projects that I have going on right here. And let's say DNA matches, right? I have random Windows question. I use this project to ask Windows questions and have it. I'm trying to find one that has search engines. That's what we're talking about. These are all the conversations that I've had relevant to search engines. Now, I don't know if I have any files there. You can actually add files in here. Like I could add the handout, for example. Let's do that. You can see add photos, add files, add from Google Drive. So we're going to say, using AI to find stuff. Well, I'll go find that. So AI 2026, using AI to find stuff. So here's the handout. So I'm uploading that as a source that will be part of all of the conversations that I have with ChatGPT relevant to this project. The project is a bundle of chats. So you can see it's uploaded. So I can say, given this handout, what else should I talk about with respect to using AI to search the internet? Notice I don't use any capitals or punctuation. It doesn't care about that, and it's faster for me to type it. So now it's going to that handout, the handout that you have in front of it. It's reading that whole thing. Oh, look, it complimented me. Bobski, this is already a strong handout, clear, practical, practical and well-paced for your audience. What you have covers what AI search and how it works. What's missing and would add real value for seniors, because it knows I'm also talking to seniors, right? Is more about how to use it effectively and safely in real life. Can't argue with that. I should talk more about that, right? And so then it, pardon? Yeah. Al said I've been replaced. Yeah. And so it goes on to tell me a whole bunch of stuff. You know, look at all this about, you introduced the idea of AI as a research assistant. That's actually a good point. In my AI and for genealogy presentation, that is exactly what I do. AI is a research assistant for you when you're doing genealogy. Blah, blah, blah. AI versus Google. Give them a simple rule of thumb. They will ask this anyway. Give them this. Use Google when you want a specific website, you're shopping. Oh, that's what I wanted to show is another one here. Hallucinations. So the coneheads, I call them, that came up with all this, use the term hallucination. And a hallucination is just the AI giving you the wrong response. And it will do that occasionally. Usually it's very obvious. And it doesn't happen very often. But if you get it in a corner and you're asking it stuff that it can't, for whatever reason, can't figure out, sometimes it will make stuff up for you. So you have to kind of be careful of that. Prompt patterns, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, if you really want to use AI, we should talk about, there's a whole thing called prompt engineering. It's a whole field of science, and it's how to talk to AIs. And it's, well, there's a lot of different opinions on it. Yes?
Or could I take a picture of the presentation and upload the photo?
So the question was, does it have to be in a particular format, or could I take a picture of it and upload that? You can absolutely take a picture of it and upload it. I've got documents. Al has an Italian birth certificate. It's in Italian cursive. And I said, transcribe this. And ChatGPT promptly gave me a typed out Italian version of what's on the birth certificate. And I said, oh, and translate it. And then it translated into English. So yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, it's given me all kinds of advice here. You can see that. Yes. Good. 2 more on the list. Fire away. Yeah, so in ChatGPT, using a browser, and I don't know what's going on here, chatgpt.com. I can't figure out how to make it do settings. Wow, maybe this is it. I have no idea what this is. Options, doc, blah, blah, blah. I honestly can't remember how, oh, I wonder if this is for this. I honestly can't remember how to do that. Yeah, okay. How do I change settings when I'm on chatgpt.com? It's tucked, centralized, but a bit tucked away. Look at the bottom left corner of the screen, click on your profile icon or name. Well, I don't see that. Oh, I know why, because I had, there we go. I had the page so zoomed in that I couldn't see it. So if I click down here on my name and I click on settings, under data controls, I think, improve the model for everyone. So that's the term that they use. So you look at this and go, oh, how could I not? You know, but what they're saying is, if I turn this off, I'll read it. Allow your content to be used to train our models which makes ChatGPT better for you and everyone who uses it. We take steps to protect your privacy. And you can set up voice, include your audio recordings and that sort of thing. So that, Sonny, I think you asked, that's the setting. And you get to it down here on your account. No wonder I couldn't see it. So, by the way, you ask about, somebody asked about browser versus, who was that? Asked about browser versus the app. Yeah, so I'm using a browser right now, and it still has all of my chats and all of my projects in here. So they're stored in the cloud, and they're the same, whether I'm using the app or using a browser. I guess effectively, there's probably not much difference. Yep. So the statement was you can put the app on your computer as well as on your phone. And I will show you, there was something else I wanted to show you on here. I can't remember what it was. So this is my home screen, my lock screen. So it's locked, and this is the ChatGPT app right here. So if I tap on that, I probably has to do facial recognition to log me in, but now I'm in ChatGPT. So I keep, if I go to my home page, see the icons right there. I actually have, these are all the AI apps I have on my phone. Gemini, which is Google's Gemini, Claude, the Apple Playground, which is part of Apple Intelligence, which we can talk about next year. Copilot, don't remember what this is. I don't know, but it's loading. And then of course, Sora, which we just looked at. I think this is, oh, Notebook LM, yeah, which is Google's project-oriented thing. Yes. So the statement or question was, I can use Claude to look at my tax return. You certainly can do that. And one of the things that AI is just amazingly remarkable at is summarizing. So you could feed it your 40-page tax return and say, give me in 20 words or less, is this good or is this bad? Or do you think that I missed anything? And it will analyze it for you. Now, keep in mind, you also sent your tax return to OpenAI, but that's a different issue. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Al says TurboTax will do that. Not as cutely as at ChatGPT would. I'd feed it my tax return, but oh, so the question or the thing was going to show how to use Google Lens. Absolutely. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you while I've got this up here. So this is a photograph. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sharing the wrong thing. Dang it. Let's look at, oh, here. Can you see that? So my garbage disposal went out on Sunday. I came home from church and I was like, oh, I got the whole afternoon, and my wife turns on the garbage disposal and it's leaking. So anyway, so one of the things I can do here, oh, sorry, is this. So I took this picture so I could go to Home Depot, right? So I hit this little button. Now this is on an iPhone, but I can say, find product. Oh, you can't see this. Oh dear. Well, that's part of the sharing thing here. I click on share. I'm surprised. And I'm going to click on find products on Amazon. And it says looking for products like these. Well, let's see what it does. I have no idea what it's going to do. Finding similar products. A condenser fan. Okay, well, so that didn't work. Interesting. So what it did is it found products that had a similar label to it. But so I can take a picture of something and say, hey, find this on Amazon for me, which is kind of crazy. Maybe there's another thing we could look at. Glasses, I don't know, we can try that. So the statement was, if I'd have put in garbage disposal on that picture, I'm quite certain it would have found it. Yeah, that's a really good point. And things like that can happen, you know, it's not perfect, and that's why it's conversational. You can say, oh no, I mean garbage disposal. So I said, find this on Amazon, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is what it came up with. So you can see those glasses. I don't know if you can see that on Zoom. You probably can't, or is it? Yeah, okay, you can see. Yeah, well, that's what this is using. Al said you can use Amazon Lens. That's exactly what this is using. So speaking of Lens, let's look at, so what we're going to do here is we're using Safari. We're going to go to google.com. Now see over here on the right, see that little search by image. And what did we just take an image of? Oh, we're going to search. So I just clicked on that, and you can upload an image. I don't know on a PC if it works, but on a Mac, you can also just paste an image, which is what I did here. And it gives you, so this is Gemini, AI Gemini, Google Gemini. The image features a blue Merle miniature American Shepherd or toy Australian Shepherd. And it's interesting that it figured out that it was a toy, because it is a toy. And then, so this is the search that Google came up with based on that image that I provided it. This is really handy for things, especially if you find something on, what is this? You know, just take a picture and Google will find it for you. It's crazy. Yeah, how many of those talks are on? Well, unfortunately, there's one less today than there was. Anything else? We can try anything. Okay, thank you for coming. Yes. Oh, thank you.